This is Brother Carter with Tasteful and Toxic. I also have my lovely wife with me,
Val.
Hey, Val. Be sure and tune in to us every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m.
Don't sleep on us, baby. Get up, get your coffee. Tune in.
We love you. God bless you. We'll see you Wednesday. Again, welcome to another edition of Tasteful and Toxic with your main man, Brother Carter. Today, you know, we're living in a toxic world today. And there's a lot of problems in and around about us. And so today we want to talk about some of the trauma in our lives.
We've been talking about a lot of that.
Because some of us are still dealing with past traumas in our lives. And so I want to talk today about the past traumas and if we are, can they ever be alleviated? You know, do we ever get over those past traumas or be healed from those past traumas? And, you know, as none of us are licensed therapists on this subject, so I want to put that disclaimer out there. That it's just our own opinions on the topic. And so to help me on this show today, dealing with past traumas, I have the lovely, vivacious one, the very beautiful. And don't she look so beautiful today? Yeah, that's my wife, Valerie. Say hello to Valerie.
Oh, hello.
Oh, you say hello, Valerie.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Hey,
all right. You doing all right this morning?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right. You ready to deal with some past trauma?
I sure am.
All right. We also have Miss Jennifer Barnes on the show today. Tell her hello to the people out there, Miss Jennifer.
People out there.
She's beautiful
yes,
too.
Yeah.
There she goes.
I mean, look, we get to sit together.
I can't give her all of your accolades. So
I'll give you some.
Yeah.
How about that? Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Simply a big heart.
I mean, we're practically twins.
Yeah.
Like
really?
You know,
Yeah.
She's more than just Abigail's mom.
Yeah.
She
You are more than Abigail.
Also have on the big screen my main man from Florida out there, Mr. JB himself, JBL, Justin B. Long.
Yeah.
Good morning, Justin. How you doing, brother?
Hey, all you party people.
Are you ready to deal with some past traumas in your life there?
That is my favorite thing in the world to do and my favorite thing to talk about.
All right. So we're going to get it on in a minute. We also have my granddaughter on set today, Miss Diamond.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me.
All right. She's just straight to the point, just like her granddaddy. And we also have the beautiful one, the cute one, the thriving, should I say, one. Yes. Miss Perfect herself in her own mind. Yes.
I love it. She's sparkly. She's perfect. She's beautiful. Thank you. I don't even need to say anything else.
Yeah, that's Miss Abby Grace Rivera.
Yeah, my government name, the whole thing.
Coming in like a disco ball.
And so today I'm asking the question. I'm posing the question today. Past trauma, is this something that we ever heal from? Is it something that we ever it never affects us anymore?
When we get over it?
Yeah, do we ever get over the past traumas in our lives? So I'm gonna shoot at you first, Miss Val, since you're sitting right next to me.
God,
It's just a simple question there. Do we ever, and I'm talking in general, we're not asking you to expose your personal traumas in life or nothing like that. We just want to know, but you can use those examples.
Yes, to
you
kind of
will.
come with an answer.
Yeah. So do we ever get over those traumas? Do we ever get past it or heal from it?
I think that you grow from it. I think that you can move past, but I think the trauma that was inflicted on you, depending on the level of trauma, it is still there somewhere. And you learn to cope with it. It can go into a dormant state, but the trauma is the trauma. So I don't necessarily know if you ever get to a place that you don't feel it, don't think about it. So for me, I would have to say that it's the trauma is in different stages of that healing. You know, you've moved on, you've forgiven yourself, you've forgiven the other person. So it's not just sitting there, but there are certain things that can come up in your life that can trigger.
Yeah. So Jennifer, what you think about this? about past traumas. That 5-year trauma when you were 5 years old, do you still feel the effects of that trauma that
Yes.
now that you're in your 30s now?
I love you. Love you so much. I think
That went straight to her head.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna live on that for the next week.
Forgot what she was talking about.
I'm like, tell me again. Tell me again.
I love it.
I think that I didn't realize until I was in my 30s
Mm-hmm.
that I had trauma
Mm-hmm.
because
really?
because things that happen when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, you don't know that nobody
It's
else
wrong.
is not going through the same thing.
Mhm.
Like that's your life, right? You're not
Mhm.
talking to your friends, your little friends on the
So you
playground
didn't
about.
consider it as trauma?
Because you don't know it.
No, you don't know
it.
You don't know. Like
It's just
and
natural.
when I say trauma, like I'll just there's various degrees of trauma,
Right,
which
right.
in certain stages of my life, some were worse than others, right?
Right.
But at let's say the worst or like the least worst,
Mhm.
worst.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making
It's okay.
up stuff.
This
What-
Tasteful
wasn't-
Toxic with Brother Carter.
Like,
You can say whatever you
but
want.
saying like at the extreme, there was times in my life that it was really bad with physical abuse and that kind of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Mhm.
about like the stuff that's still impactful now because it was an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know it was trauma. That makes
Mhm.
sense?
Right.
Like you know that physical abuse is trauma.
Right.
Right.
But you don't know that the lesser things are trauma until you're well into adulthood and you're
Mhm.
doing some silly nonsense in your adulthood.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then you're like, oh,
And you're reacting to things, or you're numb from things,
Mhm.
or you that you don't know that that's because that was a trigger and that hurt you as a child.
right.
But you have to at some point be
Yeah.
like, why am I
like
reacting?
constant, like for me, because my parents just weren't,
Mhm.
they were young and they just
Yeah.
weren't very affectionate,
Yeah.
whatever, and didn't
Get it.
show me a lot.
Get it.
So I never felt loved.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in turn,
We're gonna deal with that. I need to go to Justin right quick.
sorry.
And so
She cut me off. That was
no, that's
embarrassing.
okay.
That was embarrassing. I'm just kidding.
No,
Go ahead.
no embarrassment intended here.
I was just
Yeah, so Justin B. Long, having hearing what you have heard, my question to you would be, would you be able to heal or get over? I don't want to use the word get over because that's
Get
just
through.
disrespectful.
Overcome.
Yeah, overcome.
That's a
Okay.
good one.
Ooh,
Are you able
diamond.
to overcome physical trauma versus mental trauma easier? If I'm making sense, you get what I'm saying? Is it easier
do.
to get over physical trauma versus mental trauma, or mental trauma versus physical trauma? Or are they both equal in your opinion?
I think it's always going to be case dependent because everything is different and every person is different. How they perceive things is different.
Mhm.
But I think you can absolutely heal from these things and stop being dominated by them. But I don't think you ever completely let go of everything. Like that's
Right.
that's not going to happen, right? Like I had a million lowercase t traumas all through my childhood from abusive parents. But I heard a speaker one time at an AA meeting talking about deep in his heroin addiction and all the problems that he had with his family. He went on a family vacation and the plane that they were on crashed on a mountain in Mexico. And some guys came up to the plane crash site and he watched his parents die in front of him. And he thought that he was about to be saved by these people, but all they really did was take his wallet out of his pocket and steal his money and left him to die.
Wow.
And like, do you get over that? I don't know. Do you get over watching your parents die in front of you and another human being leave you for dead for the $100 that you had in your wallet? Like, I don't know. Like that's a different situation than what I went through, right?
Yeah.
But
I would have
all
to say
of these
no.
things.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say no. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have to just think about that.
It's going
because-
around.
Yes, I would have to say no, because if I think about probably two of the most traumatic things that has happened in my life,
Mm-hmm.
it's still one in particular that was very traumatic. It's still there. It's just in a dormant state
Mm-hmm.
until something triggers
Yeah.
that comes up that make me go into this place of I'm not feeling safe.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think
so-
a traumatic event
Yes.
is different than traumatic
Consistent.
consistent
Yeah.
history,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the way your parental sister, whatever relationship you had, can be long-term
trauma.
small or large trauma, but an event is an event.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you probably never get over that. You can get through it, but it's going to be a triggering thing if it's.
And then even if it's not, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Even if it's not, I know we done took over your show. Even if it's not a physical or some type of trauma, if it's long term and it's been a long term abuse that is taking place over your life, a long term, it's still there. And so just because you turn 18 or you move out doesn't mean that abuse that you went through for 18 years of your life is not there. You learn to cope with it.
Well, and it's also comfort.
Well, I want you two to stop looking at each other because I want to reach out to Abigail right now.
Oh, you're so pretty.
I heard someone, and they were talking about grief specifically, and like how they've overcome that. I believe that the person lost a child that from the video that I saw this, and they drew a picture. They said the grief never goes away and never gets smaller. The grief is always going to be this big.
Yeah.
But as you grow, you create more memories outside of that grief.
Yes.
And like I said, a visual. I tried to give as much of a visual.
I love that.
Yeah. The grief, the trauma never goes away. It's always going to be just as big. But because you are still living your life and you're experiencing things, you're creating new memories.
Yes.
Or new traumas.
Or new traumas. And I've noticed that a lot of people, especially when it's a big traumatic event, right? They kind of live their life off or before and after. You know what I'm saying? Think about 9/11, for instance. That's something that I think as a nation we all experience as trauma. How many of us are like, oh, that was before 9/11, or that was after 9/11, or like it for me is because I'm
association,
right? Or even I think about things before Donald Trump became president and after. What changed in that time? Like there are like certain things like markers in our life that are a lot of times negative that you like. It leaves its mark, but you can kind of shape your perspective around that.
Because at the end of the day, you can't throw your memory away. What's in there is in there.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are certain things that take place, like you were saying, that will highlight that trauma or whatever that came into your life. Now, today on today's show, what we want to do is be able to adapt to those traumas, and when those triggers happen, to not let those triggers control you or box you in to that situation as though it just happened again.
Do you mind if I jump in? And anybody can take over this conversation, but I want to jump in, and please feel free. This is a show, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I think people get boxed in when other people when that trigger happens. I believe that it's better to allow that person that is working through that and they are conscious of that trigger to kind of work through it. But when someone else tries to tell them how they should react, how it should affect them, it doesn't matter. You only make it worse for that person because you're dealing with it on your level, which is not the level in which that person went through it.
Oh, so Justin, I'm gonna ask, is it fair to say?
Off.
No.
Okay.
I thought you was done. I'm sorry.
You did.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Everybody's cutting everybody off. That's the name of the game today.
Yeah, lots to say.
So what I'm saying is we have to be respectful of other people's experience and not make their experience be your experience, because it's not your experience because you didn't go through that. And so we just have to make sure that we're not trying to tell other people how to feel.
Yeah. And so I'm going to ask, that's good. I like that. So I want to go to Justin.
That's what I wanted you to do at the last time. Say that.
I apologize for the cutoff. So Justin, I want to ask you, in your experience, damn it. I hate when I do that.
Oh, you lost it. He'll come back.
I have a question.
I got the answer. I got the answer to the question ready to go.
Okay, you got to give it to
So
him.
is it fair to say when you are triggered by past trauma, circumstances show up, situations show up that trigger you to a past trauma, is it fair to say that you have yet to deal with the trauma in your life?
Yes, and
Yes,
I think that especially when we're talking about child abuse and very emotionally inhospitable households. I grew up in a very, very negative, toxic environment.
And that's why I came to you with the question, because
right.
I know you've been through a lot of trauma.
Well, so the thing is, like, that information input, that negative emotional input into me defined who I was as far as I knew. Like, I built my whole identity around the information that I got from my trusted caregivers, because they told me that they're always right. And they reinforced it with religion. So I couldn't question that, or I risked going to hell and burning forever. So that negative self-view was my whole identity. And until I was able to get far enough removed from that and get some professional help to separate my parents' stuff from who I actually am, like, it was all one big bowl of spaghetti, right? And so anything that happened that was related to things that I experienced as a child, especially criticism, like any criticism that I got from anybody as an adult, I wildly overreacted to that, because that was tied to my core identity, my self-belief that I am not good enough, and that I am never going to do this right, because that's what I learned about who I am as a child. And I think that, yes, you can totally change that, and I have changed that self-belief. But until you work on that, like, just separating yourself from it time isn't going to make any of that go away. That doesn't change your self-belief. And triggers, generally, when we're triggered by something, it's activating a negative self-belief that we have that is based on experiences that we had at some other point in our life. And, you know, those insidious, long, slow, just environmental things like that, like, it's different than one traumatic event that, like my best friend, she was a helicopter medic in the war in Iraq. And she had a lot of events where guys would die in her arms, and she beat herself up because she felt like she should have been able to save them, that was her job. She failed to do that, right? That's a very different experience than what I had. But it's still, and it happened to her as an adult, a young adult, but it still made her believe that when it comes crunch time and people's lives are dependent on me, I'm going to fail them. Because that was her experience, right? So you have to recognize who you are and who you are not in order to separate those things out and work on that.
Yeah. So right now you just south of 50, right? And you've done a lot of work on yourself, Justin. I mean, been therapized, you've been educated, you've gone through a great deal of elevation in your life. And so my question is, can you, or are you still triggered by 12-year-old Justin? And what does that trigger look like, if you will?
Yeah. I still have knee-jerk reactions to things. And I don't know if that will ever go away. I have far fewer of them than I used to, which leads me to believe that the more I work on myself and the more I try to recognize these things, that the better that will get with time. Yeah. But it absolutely still happens today. It's usually based around criticism. And criticism from people that I love and trust. So when my wife criticizes me, that cuts me a lot more than when someone a little more removed criticizes me, right? Okay. But I also know that all of the younger versions of myself are still in my head, and a lot of them stopped. There are elements that are just locked in there that I am. 12-year-old Justin, for example, is still in my head and still reacts in very negative ways to things when he's running the show. Like the overall 49-year-old Justin has to be the one in charge in order for us to not have a negative response to these things.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was just because I know you've been through a whole lot of stuff going on in your life to better yourself. And so for us that have not went through these advanced programs to better ourselves, these traumas can still be detrimental to our existence.
Absolutely.
And so if it can happen to you, someone that's been through a whole lot, to not have this affect you, I mean, how do you handle that, Jennifer, when those triggers come your way, when those triggers turn your way? How do you handle those situations? Do you lash out? Do you get silent? I don't
really think, I I get a little over here. May correct me. I don't have a.
She can't correct you. We are the mamas.
I don't have a big traumatic event, so I don't think I have triggers per se. Right? Like
you do.
I don't.
Yes, you do.
Sister, you do. Let me tell you.
Like she just said, huh?
Let me tell you, sister. Here's the thing, and I don't mean to. This is my sister, so I feel comfortable saying it. We do have it, but it went dormant, and so people have taught.
Some of us use those things, and we numb ourselves to it, so we won't be affected by it.
No, so what we've done is some people have learned how to mask it, because making other people know what they're doing to trigger that is uncomfortable for you and uncomfortable for them. And so you rather be uncomfortable than to make the other person uncomfortable. So it keeps you in that place.
I have only recently said, like, I struggle with showing emotion, and I'm going to do it on purpose. If you've upset me and made me cry, I'm gonna tell you you made me cry. I'm not gonna do it in a corner and you don't be like, I'm fine.
And I think, and I do want everybody to jump on this one here. You can tear me up if you want to. I don't care. But I do think that you have to express how someone or something makes you feel. Now, it may not be their reality, but in the moment, it's your reality, and it's okay to say how something makes you feel. But we have a tendency.
I have to learn that. So in my young through 10, I had a physically abusive step-parent, right? And so basically I tried to make myself as small and quiet as possible to not be noticed.
Big tall girl like yourself.
Well,
make yourself small.
Under 10. I was under 10. I wasn't this tall.
Okay.
But basically, like, if I just was a good student, didn't get in trouble, didn't speak much, this and that, then there's the possibility that I would be kind of just ignored. Right. And then went through that. And then later went and lived, with my other set of parents. But that was already ingrained in me. Right. So again, just get good grades and follow the rules and everything else, and just stay seen and not heard. And it worked.
That was triggering by itself.
But the reason I'm so chatty and this and that is because I had to get that outside of my home. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
y'all better jump in on
but
this.
your unwillingness to show emotions to anybody, that's something you're just now trying to do. That's still you trying to be invisible, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, Justin. That's exactly what I'm saying. So
and also it's also the whole, like, you had I don't want to get too into the whole physical abuse, but it's one of those, like, you had to just be there and, like, you're not affecting me. You're not affecting me.
Exactly. And that's so special. Thank you, Justin, because that's exactly, and thank you, Justin, because that's exactly what it is. People that don't show emotions in a situation is because they're still working in that place of, I'm not going to let it affect me because it doesn't matter. But
I'm not going to let
you know. I can't be vulnerable.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you know it affects me.
But it's definitely still affecting you because it affects you in how you view everything and everybody when they're in it.
What's the difference between showing no emotion toward it versus expressing too much emotions for it?
But the
it's the same thing.
They're both bad.
It's the same thing, right?
Right. But again, it's the same thing, but you're still, not you, but people are still there is still an effect. And so how a person chooses to deal with it is how they deal with it until they can get help. But you can't tell someone else that the way that they deal with it is wrong because they see how you deal with it is totally wrong.
And so, speaking for the people that are not emotionally expressive, I find it easier to keep those traumas to myself versus to lay those burdens on someone else, if that makes sense.
But I think
that makes sense to me.
But I get what you're saying. You think that you're keeping it to yourself, but those people that are around you definitely feel it. Wouldn't you guys agree? You're thinking you're keeping it to yourself, but the people that are around you feel you suppressing how something makes you feel and how you're moving because they see that that's not a natural.
And so as you guys see this show, you know that I am the one that suppress
they need trauma. To tell us to shut up.
Yeah, I suppress traumas in my life. My wife, on the other hand, is very emotionally expressive about troubles or triggers when they snap toward her. And so I'm trying to help us on this show today with
I have a thought
past
on that.
traumas in our lives. And so,
Justin.
and Justin, you the most qualified individual.
Come on, brother.
Here's my example.
Justin, make sure
I have an example.
And you know,
Right?
and I'm not telling you to, you know, choose one side versus the other. I just want you to use your very open, honest opinion about how you feel about the situation, about trauma.
I think there's generally two ways that we deal with this stuff. And one is that we show people how tough we are, how that we will absorb anything. You cannot get to me. I have my shield up and you cannot penetrate that. Mm-hmm. And the other one is that I will attack you so hard that you will never defeat me. But those are both the same thing. Those are both defense mechanisms to prevent us from being vulnerable or letting someone else see that they're affecting us in some way.
yeah.
I love that.
Thing.
I love that he can say things that are in my
Yeah.
head. Do you find, Justin, because like
Let him
that's
finish because he had something else.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keep going, Justin.
No,
We just
no,
cut him
keep
out.
going. Ask your question.
I just meant to say, do you feel like it goes from the one to the other? Like you're kind of like you keep it in, and you're kind of almost silently warning the person, like, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you keep going, I'm going to hurt your feelings really bad. Well, you know what I mean? Do you feel
Absolutely. That's what happens when we can only take so much. Like we have a finite capacity. When we hit that wall, you got to let it go.
I think people are very
And,
shocked by me because I generally just seem like I'm cool,
Cool,
collected.
cool.
Say what you want. I don't care what you think about me. But
the person,
and then I'll break and I can make you feel really bad about yourself with my words. I have a
right?
good vocabulary. You know?
You're gonna absorb all of that until you can't absorb anymore, and then you're gonna explode.
Yeah.
And the other person who explodes all the time is gonna get to the point where they can't explode anymore, and then they shut down. And when they shut down, that's the scary thing for the people around them because they know what happens then, right? It's the same thing. It's just opposite sides of the coin.
I just want to say to Justin, you are all in your sister and brother's business.
Yeah, that's why we put it out there.
Because you just explained the two of us because I am literally that person. I'm expressing. And then you don't hear me. And he is the opposite. And then when you don't hear me, I completely go this, which is just as damaging as the person because when he finally gets to that place, he's like this. And so
no.
Well, you are because you don't think you are. You are.
No, you haven't seen me explosive.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about.
Because I'm very thoughtful about when I get ready to say something. I am very thoughtful about what I'm finna say.
Okay, let me finish what I'm saying.
Now,
I'm not
and
saying.
And when I say something, I try to say it in the most tactful way to be understood.
I know.
Versus somebody trying to understand me.
But I hear what you're saying, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you.
Go ahead.
That is how you see it.
Yeah.
But it's never in to be honest with you. And I'm saying this not just for me, because there's someone that
because you see it as if I don't care.
No, that's not. You gotta let me get it out.
Okay,
no, I know you always.
Okay, all right. This is one of our many arguments that we have.
This is an argument?
Yeah,
no.
It's an argument. Yeah.
I love it. I love this argument.
I never think that you don't care. Let me make that real clear. I never think that he doesn't care.
I'm so sorry.
She's known you for like,
can you let me finish?
Yes.
Okay, because I always know when he's getting uncomfortable. And so this is what he does because he's like, oh, I don't want to hurt her. And his normal reaction is to protect me. That's why I love him so much. In every situation is to guard my heart, my feelings, and everything about me. And so I love that about him. At the same time, that can also be a trigger or a problem when you don't, because you're so quick to want to protect me that you can't hear what I'm trying to convey, which causes frustration and puts a wall up for me sometimes. So you got to allow a person to express how they feel. Not in your capacity, but just what they say. It doesn't change. It's not dictating that what you're saying is not right. It's not dictating that what you're feeling is not right. But it's in the moment of what that person, because if you're making it about that person at that time, it's what they're feeling.
Yeah. I'm just a firm believer that every war don't have to be fought. And if, with you sometime, baby, you think that you have to fight every war that come across. Every war that come across the table, you got to get in the battle. And all I try to, I know we're getting off the subject.
I'm guessing because you guys have known each other so well that you know this about him.
Yes.
And that if there comes a battle and you're fighting, and he starts giving like reactions where this is not the battle to push, and then you back off. That's my guess.
No, if he gives a battle,
okay, she presses on everyone. Huh? I love you.
No.
Good for you.
No.
Brother Carter's like, no, she keeps going. She don't care that I'm mad.
If he's giving a battle, because the one thing I do know, and I need to make sure that this is clear, and this is where the relationship has sustained itself for so many years.
Yeah.
I know that I'm safe no matter what. He's not going to do anything to hurt me.
Yeah.
He's never intentionally going to put me in a place that I feel like, but what I'm talking about is
you just slam the door and go in the other room.
I'm 3 times.
On the other hand, Brother Carter's like, oh no, I don't feel safe because she's scary.
What I'm saying is, he's a good man, but he expressed and he deals with his emotion and his trauma different than me.
Yes.
And I always like to say that we have to respect not just me and him. We have to respect other people in the way that they deal with their trauma and not push on them how you've chosen to deal with, or what's your safe haven to deal with your trauma. Mm-hmm. And that's the part when Justin said that they're one and the same. It's just a different reaction. Mm-hmm. That's why it resonated with me, Justin. Thank you.
Amen. I know we can go on and on and on and on about past trauma.
That's a broad subject for 30 minutes.
I know. That's what I'm saying. The past trauma, because if we really reflect on our lives, there are so many damn traumas that came up, situations that have come up, and they still pop up in our lives, even in, I'm 63. They still will pop up today. And so I hope at the end of the day that we can get to a place where we don't allow, we have the young people on the set today. They can express all of those different emotions and stuff like that because they haven't grown to a place where those things are behind them. And I think at some point in our lives, we have to not allow, and it's just my opinion. It's not a professional opinion at all. It's just Law's opinion that we got to get to a place where we're not allowing past hurts, past traumas, past afflictions to come up and grab us and hold us in a place where we don't want to be. Somehow we got to be able to shake that thing off.
I don't agree.
I think we're getting there because look at, we are discovering this about ourselves at late 40s, 50s, 60s years old, right? Mm-hmm. These young ladies are expressing themselves in their 20s, which means we're doing our job because we're not stifling them and telling them you can't express yourself and you can't tell us what's bothering you. Even we might not like what we hear, but we gave them that voice. They feel comfortable in places we did not
feel comfortable.
So we're getting there, right? Like we're getting there.
We also have to let them know that they can't just go and say, okay, cover it up, move on, gotta go. You got to deal with what is affecting you. You got to be able to have a voice to it. I'm not saying stay stuck.
I might not always agree with Abigail's interpretation of blah, 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 right? But I am like, but she's talking to me about it. She's expressing it. She's saying things to me, even if they hurt my feelings. I'm not saying they do. Yeah. Even if they do things that today I still would not say to my parents.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not gonna. I can't.
If those triggers linger on day 1, day 2, day 3, then there's a problem internal problem that's taking place that we need to address. So
Yes,
I want to hear
100%.
from the young people right quick
Hey, young
before
people.
we
Very
end the
good.
show.
Speak
I
up,
wanna-
young people.
Yeah, what do y'all think about this whole past trauma thing? I'm gonna start with Abigail over here.
Yeah. Like, and I think we said this earlier that trauma is inevitable, right? We all have things that we've gone through that have impacted us that felt very negative. And I think there's a way to spin it and see that there's a positive to it, whether it taught you a lesson or you were able to grow from it in some way. I do think I noticed that as generations, we are able to talk about that more. I don't want to see us go. The thing that I'm concerned, I think, about our generation is that it goes into a victim mentality, and people are quick to be like, "Oh, well, I act this way because this happened when I was a kid." Okay, you're almost 30. Put your big girl boots on, and you know what I'm saying. Like
that's grown folk stuff you're talking right there.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's so much more.
She's so advanced. Go ahead, continue.
she is.
Oh shit!
So-
Why did I say that?
Wait.
You done got us started.
Look, that was me. I did that. I traumatized her until she was smart.
But yeah, I'm glad that we're able to talk about it more. I am nervous though, because I do see people wearing that as a badge of honor and being like,
Absolutely.
oh, well, I went through this and this, so that's why I have all
why I'm
these
like
excuses
this.
for the way that I behave.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think to a certain degree that is true. There are certain things that you just can't undo, you can't change.
Yeah.
But I do think we have to be a little bit more
Mindful.
accountable and mindful and
Yes.
demure.
And cutesy.
Yes.
When we're talking about our trauma and trying to go from a place of healing rather than a place of like, I'm stuck.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Stuck. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I don't want to
love it.
live in my trauma. I'm cool with it. I know what it is and I know how it impacts me. I'm not ashamed of it, but I'm not gonna like live in that
And I
phase
think
of
that's
life.
the
And that's
thing.
another subject that we can talk about. People that live within that trauma and stuff like that.
I
I don't
think
mean to cut you off,
you
baby,
do.
but I'm
I don't think they
trying to
want-
close the show.
I know, but I think I want to say this here. I think that I agree 100% with this, but I think living in it is one thing, but having other people tell you how to live through it is another thing.
Yeah.
And we have to respect. It's kind of like if I never knew what my sister went through, and then I'm only basing off of how I would deal with it, and I tell you how you should be dealing with yours, that's not showing much respect or grace to you. So we just have to respect people in their healing process and whatever they need to go, just support them.
That's a good
No,
reminder.
no. God bless you. God bless you all.
I love you, Brother Carter.
You know, y'all not reading the room very well right now.
We're ignoring the room.
Yeah, because I said I wanted to reach out to the young people. We got one, and now I want to hear from the other.
He
one.
wants to hear from you, but keep it brief.
So, Diamond, what you think about this conversation about past trauma? Because I know you're a young person, but yet you have
Also,
you have
He has grandparent
past trauma in your life as well, just like everybody, all the rest of us.
Yeah, we all experience trauma in some way. But
Yeah.
to sum it up, healing is not linear, meaning it's not in a constant straight line. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. So
Come on now.
one day you
I'm
may be
taking
able to deal with it, and then another day it may be just unbearable. So, you know, you just have to give yourself that grace and just stay in the middle.
Come on now.
y'all heard that?
My
That's my
granddaughter.
grandchild.
I went in.
You understand?
I went in. She's coming home with me.
Girl, you've been reading my old Bible here. I see.
Why you call my daughter I want your granddaughter.
I'm ready to go as long as you feed me.
I'll feed you. I love to. You can call me Nana.
I want to go ahead and say that.
This closing remark.
Okay, this is my closing remark.
That's closing remark.
Okay,
He's got things to do.
This is my closing remark. I want to say all of those conversations, since my grandbaby could understand the words. Today, I am a proud grandmother because
Me
we've talked. And just to hear her express herself and it articulated so well that she didn't make it about her. She didn't make it about me. She didn't make it about Papa. She didn't make it about anybody in here. She just dropped a gem.
Yeah.
And so, Diamond, you keep on doing it, girl. You know, like Stephanie said, girl.
Who named you? Who named you the diamond in the rough?
Baby,
Her
her mom and her daddy, baby. Let me tell you.
They named her correctly.
They did. All right, then.
Diamond in the rough.
Baby,
Diamond
I
in
am
the
so
rough.
proud
Right
of you.
there.
Jennifer Barnes, you have any closing remarks?
I'm taking your granddaughter home.
Okay. That's your
closing
closing word?
Yes, I just want to
You
be her
can't-
little spoiler. I'm a spoiler.
Okay.
I'm a spoiler and send her back.
You can't have her now.
You can have us sometime, but you can trust me.
Okay. Do I get visitation?
You give
Okay.
visitation. All right. Then.
JBL, you have closing remarks there, sir.
Yeah, if Diamond disappears, Jennifer is in trouble.
Don't make it weird. All right? I'm just trying to be a grandma. Don't make it weird.
Let me tell you something. There is no rock she can hide under. No,
Facts. Facts.
No, I think that that healing from anything starts with self-awareness,
Yes.
and I think that we are doing a pretty good job of giving self-awareness tools to younger people, and I think that will slowly change the world, change culture, and that's a very exciting thing.
That's good. That's good.
Facts.
Abigail, did you get a closing remark?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
You want me to talk some more? I like talking.
Everybody gave one?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to I don't want to miss nobody. So as the host of the Tasteful and Toxic show, I want to thank first and foremost you guys for being on the show today, elaborating on this fact that we all have traumas in which we probably would never be relieved of at some point in our life, but at the same time, we don't have to allow the trauma to define who we are in our mature aging of life. And so I hope at the end of the day, and I got to talk to my people now because I've talked to the set already. I hope at the end of the day that we, as a people, not allow those past traumas to just continue to just arise in us and define us as human beings growing in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. The same trauma that happened when we were 5 and 6 years old. You know, I'm sure you're going to have many more traumas that come into your life, and that's okay. That's called life.
It's life.
Yeah. Things gonna happen, and that's just a fact. But don't allow those things to just hold you and grip you and hold you down, hold you hostage. I like that word there throughout life. I had to.
Go ahead.
I don't like to preach and stuff like that because I'm not a preacher or nothing like that. But there's only one way to get through life's traumas is through the written word of God. And I found a lot of peace. I found a lot of relief through those childhood traumas in my life through reading of the Bible, reading of the word of God. And that gave me a different perspective of life. I don't have to look at myself as who I am. I can easily humble myself right now because I have gone to a place where that I'm not measuring myself to Val or Jennifer, or Abby, or Diamond, or Justin B. Long over there. I don't measure myself towards you guys anymore. I got a bigger measurement stick now, and that is through God. I measure myself through God. And when I look at it like that, I understand I ain't worth a damn.
Oh.
I understand I ain't worth a damn. No matter how many subscribers we have, no matter how many degrees we have on the wall, no matter how many therapists I have talked to, I'm still worthless. At the end of the day, when I measure myself, not to people, but to him that sits high and look low. And so when you're able to do that, you can humble yourself and you can gracefully forgive those people, those situations, those elements that try to hold you back in life.
Wow.
You can easily forgive those peoples in your life, and so you're able to not allow those past traumas to just hurt you, stab you in the stomach, or stab you in your heart in life. So at the end of the day, I hope that you'll be able to get something out of that.
I love that.
That don't hinder, that past traumas hinder you from growing throughout life. So read the Bible, amen, and grab a hold of something that's tangible versus these twinkling lights that we see all the time, these things that are out there that we can grab a hold of. But reach unto. Now I ain't gonna. I'm done. I'm done.
That was
you got what I had to say.
That was
preach.
I'm done.